girls in the city are so very pretty. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Thing, taking another round of comic chat, and we've got another special one. The old guys have another round of books. Actually, just their issue 2, and I purposely waited until all of them got their issues out. So our Funko of the day is actually pretty appropriate. It's another old guy, Boomy. Yes, this is a little present for myself. Um, so yeah, I liked it. I have Iroh too. Is there another one? I don't think we're ever gonna get a Paku. We're not gonna get a Paku Funko. I don't think that. I don't think the market's there for that. But a Tenzin one, that'd be cool. So anyway, so our first one is actually still, I think, the best one so far. J. Garrick the Flash issue 2. So this one starts off with flashback to 1941, i.e., when they're looking for the Spear of Destiny to stop old Hitler. I love attempts to stop Hitler. It's always great. And we just see Jay Garrick, for the most part, just being awesome while everyone's like, okay, so you stop the robot bears, and the side where there's a robot bear. I love these guys so much. Going through, Jay's like, okay, all right, I'm here with a shotgun. A speedster with a gun is actually kind of messed up because he'll run faster than the bullets will. Oh my god, he can shoot you, run up to you, and just watch. He can jog with the bullet as it goes to hit you. Like, hey, that's gonna get you. It's gonna get you, gonna get you, gonna get you, gonna get you, gonna get you. That'd be... Anyway. So he's helping out the Spectre, who back in the old days was just like great friend of the JSA. So goes in, he then deals with the Robo Bear. I love Jay. I love the hat. He takes the hat, throws it, knocks out some dudes, smash punches the Robo Bear, and the bear is like, ugh, we're not done yet, Jay Garrick. You and me, Flash. And then he goes off somewhere, but it seems Jay forgets about him, which is pretty much in line with what's been happening a lot with pretty much everything's been going on with his entire story, with the Lost Generation sidekicks and the enemies there. So, better question, was Judy there too? Or for some reason was he just taken out as well? Anyway, we cut to Star Labs, where pretty much Jay just wants Judy to get checked out. Judy's sort of excited by the fact there's all this other stuff going around, all these metahumans. Remember, as far as Judy knew, she and her dad were and even the JSA were just like a small, maybe super minority of the rest of the population. Now there's superheroes everywhere, so she's excited, but she's also a bit down. Like, her dad seems to be just like sort of hovering around her a bit, and he just really wants to make sure she's all right, because it has to be really frustrating. Because, as his dad, he's like, my job was to protect Judy. Then it turns out I totally forgot about her for like 50 years. Alright, and now she's back. I'm seeing all this other stuff going on here. He is worried and stressed beyond all belief that something else is going to happen to her, something he's missed. And even hearing about Dr. Elemental, like, something is going on. And he's overcompensating. But Judy has been asked out by Courtney Whitmore to go to the mall. I'm like, okay, cool. Jay's like, hold on. Like, no, his wife's like, no. Joan's like, no, just be back before dinner. And like any good teenager, as well as a speedster, she just jets as soon as she gets permission. Goes off. Joan's like, no, you will sit here. You will let her have fun with her only friend right now. All right? So that's what happens. Jay, however, is not the kind of person. Like, speedsters are normally impatient to begin with. And now he's impatient because he has to wait until just before dinner to see his daughter again. He's like, he is losing his mind. He's more than likely going to break something. He's like, fine, look, just, you can go. She has to see you. You check, you come right back. He's like, gotcha. And he's like, love that man. So Judy, meanwhile, is just enjoying the abundance of food. Because you sort of realize she was like, what, 1940, maybe 1950? Like, a mall like this is a pipe dream. Alright, all this food. She also, I don't think she realizes she still has a secret identity. So she's going to have to chill with the speedster eating. But then again, that metabolism must be extreme. So Courtney's like, wow, this is intense. Jay's watching. He's he takes a moment to sort of enjoy the fact his daughter's having fun. His daughter's laughing. His daughter's, enjoying life. It's something he always wanted to do, just to, see his daughter have fun. But then he sees that something turns around. It's like, it's a robot? Oh, it's the bear from World War. Oh no, oh no. He goes in, tackles Courtney, and Jude like, get down. And she's like, what are you doing here? Not now, babe. Robo Bear. He's like, oh, you? Punches him. Judy comes in with the old 1-2, boom. And I loved it. And she's still mad, like, hold on, look, I know you're mad, but hear me out. Let's beat the crap out of this bear. Heard you go with a bat? Like, let's go. And this is the most hood thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, these two super just taking baseball bats to this dude's knees and just knocking him down. And then he just disappears with like a snap. Like, is Thanos behind this? Is this... Hear me out. What if this whole thing is leading to an insane DC Marvel team up? I've heard a lot of stupid stuff going on in DC. What if Darkseid's messing with the Marvel Universe with the anti-life equation, and Thanos is just snapping people in and out of time with the Infinite Gauntlet? And I know it doesn't work outside the own dimension, but what's happening is he's controlling it from the dimension using someone else as a conduit. There you go. You can always explain something away. That's not what's happening, but imagine that. Anyway, that's how that comic ends. So anyway, this issue was fun. I didn't quite know where they were going to go with this. Thought, well, like, we're going to spend a lot of time with just Judy, or we're going to spend a lot of time with Jay. Taking that time away, and not just totally having Judy sort of unload, I think was important. Having moments where she's able to just go and be a kid and have fun, I think that made a lot more sense, made for a much better, more fun story overall. Especially with the mystery of what's going on here. So, more than likely, Elemental Wizard, or Elemental Man, the Element Wizard, the chump from the first issue, from that last mission Judy was on before she was pulled, he may have something to do with this. He may, and he even seems, since Judy's back, whatever he was planning, or when he saw her disappear, whatever's going on is now going to keep happening. And Judy seems to imply there's something way more dangerous about him than any of us seem to know. So is he connected to this? We'll just have to find out. Overall, though, really fun, really sweet, really tender. Again, just speedsters taking baseball bats to that dude. Oh, this... Not everything has to be pretty, but it always has to be fun. Next is Green Lantern, or Alan Scott Green Lantern, issue 2. Tim Sheridan is telling a very interesting story. It's a very real story, and I think that's sort of the one strength to it. He's very much taking a Watchmen approach here. In other words, who is the person underneath the mask? What issues do they go through? What makes them sad? What makes them happy? What is their life before this? What motivates them to doing this? And I don't think he's that great at it, but I want to give points for telling this particular story here, as Alan is telling his ward, not his ward, like his Alfred, what's going on here as he brings him his lantern, which he uses to charge up his ring. And he starts talking about, where the lantern came from, as well as his time in Arkham Asylum, where he underwent conversion therapy. Which, yeah. So, for those of you that don't remember, although you've all probably heard it, at one point, the world used to be way less tolerant to the LGBT community than it was before. Namely, but they thought you were just sick. You were confused. You weren't quite right. So they sent you to nice little places where doctors would help you understand that these thoughts are just not your own, and you just need help. And of course, in the DC universe, the only other place to go is Arkham Asylum. Because trust me, you don't want to go to Sanctuary. Because in Sanctuary, the superheroes kill you. So, Alan has admitted himself in, which is clever, because if you admit yourself, you can leave anytime you want. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm done. If you get admitted, you don't get to leave. So anyway, he goes through. He has a roommate, Billy, and Billy, my guess is Billy is either into cross-dressing or may actually be trans. I don't know. It won't really matter. All we know is Billy is someone who also is going to be in here in the 50s or whenever. So, Alan sort of talks about his relationship with his friend. And he talks about, that's what he thought. And he said, like, no, that's just your sickness talking. All right? And while in this asylum, one of the asylum, you also see about people who go in for the special, treatment, i.e., lobotomy or electroshock therapy. One of those two. Whichever ones. Either way, it's going to hurt for a while, and then you won't feel anything. So this is going on. This is sort of like the elephant in the room, but Billy decides to make Alan a lantern. Or he's like, well, how did you know I'd want a trained lantern? Like, I told you I was in railway engineering, but how? He's like, I don't know, it just sort of like came to, like, it spoke to him that he had to make it. And what he's really trying to do is sort of help Alan realize that, this isn't a good place to be. And you can't keep fighting off the part of you that they're trying to get you to get rid of. Like, who you are is nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to hide, you're not sick. And Alan is sort of doubling down after the loss of his friend. Alright, I say friend because I've already forgotten his name and I just don't care. Which is the downside of this entire story. Nothing about him endeared me to whatever. So anyway, so he's sort of like, hey, no, what do you mean? I'm not hiding anything. You're like, I'm not trying to hide this part of myself. And Billy's like, don't lie. Don't lie, all right? So why are we looking at that guy right there, all right? Because you thought it was cute, okay? And that's fine. Like, no, I'm not, okay? I'm a normal man. I'm just here to get some help, and I'm going to get out, and I'm going to marry me a nice, fine woman, and everything will be fine. And he points out, oh, really? What about that ring you got on your hand now? What's that about? And so Alan doubles down on his defense, calls him a sad man, and walks off. And apparently he's now being met by the two orderlies, which means he's more like being pulled away. And so, sort of, we go back to the conversation again about this time. We were trying to figure out what's going on. And this leads to really the story about how he got the lantern. And how even then the lantern started speaking to him when he thought it was Billy, it was someone else. And it was the lantern. Like, the lantern is apparently alive. And we're still not quite sure how. But no, that's a red light. So we're trying to figure what that means. So anyway, Billy comes up, or rather, Billingham, as is his real name, comes in. And yeah, so he hasn't been electroshocked. He has had a piece of his brain removed. He's had a piece of his noggin removed. And he is all kinds of not right in the head. He's talking about a train, but he also looks like he's being released. So his family put him here to get him right. So in other words, they saw him doing something that wasn't quite right, and so they had him admitted here. More likely his wife had him admitted, or his dad, his father-in-law, one of those two. And now he's been messed up to make him better, and yeah, we go from there. The head of the ward sees Alan reading something like, "Hey, what is this?" All right. Like, you think you're all right? No, see, this is why you messed up. And this gives me enough reason to say, hey, you know what? You don't get to leave anytime you want. This now gets to void your rights as someone who's self-admitted. You need help. I'm going to help you. So come on. Into the room. So they go in, and I guess that's the electroshock. All right, so he goes in, but luckily some people break him out and guide him through. Alan finds another friend and goes through as he hides out, he works on a train, and that's sabotaged as he finds love again. Like, Alan just really spent a lot of time making out and doing other things with dudes, and just, leaving them, and then there's the accident on the train, which leads to the lantern activating and presumably saving his life. Now, this happened also in the Earth 2 comic, where Alan proposed, Alan's Alan's boyfriend proposes, if I'm not mistaken. And then the accident happens on the train. And then I believe the same thing happened to the original Alan Scott. He was on the train, or something involving a train. The lantern comes and gets him, or the lantern saves him. So, it's all pretty consistent. But one thing Alan's thinking about as he's talking to his Alfred is that all the people he met helped guide him to that point. All those people seem to sort of in some way be connected to the events there. In other words, something, whether it be the red light or the green light, are sort of guiding him to a point. All right, the emerald flame of life. Um, and the crimson flame seem to be leading him somewhere. And he seems that every time he does get close to someone, though, they get hurt and they die. So this is sort of reason why Alan doesn't want to work with people. He feels that whatever great cosmic power has given him this is costing him the lives of other people. Going as far back to whatever dude he was sleeping with before, who I can't remember, to Billy, to the people that died on the train. It's all connected. And as he flies off, we see some other dude is watching, which is, again, more likely the dude. Overall, I have to say this. Everything I just said feels like it had nothing to do with Green Lantern. Like, really, this could have been anyone. I'm not seeing how this story feels uniquely Alan Scott. And I think the problem is, I don't think the story wants to explain who Alan Scott is as a hero in the present day to explain this origin. And normally we wouldn't do it that way. We would use the past to explain the present. But honestly, Alan Scott isn't getting a book set in the present day. We don't know if we're going to have a JSA book. Alright, so throw that whole thing out right there. Throw that potential idea out. So I think really this should have been something similar to what Jay Garrick is going through. Something in the present reminding him of his past. And then he has to sort of explore that. Actually, that would have been interesting because then we could see him tell the story to Jade and Obsidian, his kids, sharing this real story about his life that he's never shared with his kids. Alright? And that would help us understand his relationship with his son, how hard it was for him to accept him coming out. Look, I'm still of the opinion that Alan Scott should not have been gay. Well, they shouldn't have changed his sexuality. But if DC is going to do it, they need to do a better job of this. Tim Sheridan, even in his interview to promote the book, said nothing about this book of any real substance. Pretty much talking about how it would stick it to people or something. It was totally a waste of time. Tim Sheridan didn't even seem excited to promote this book. There's some good ideas here, but I don't think it works for this superhero genre, let alone for Alan Scott. We're more interested in telling everyone that Alan Scott's gay and less about this mystery here. And I'm going to say it again. The Snagglepuss comic did this better. And finally, we have Wesley Dodds, the Sandman. So, I'm not going to lie. Raleigh Rosmo seems to have found a home with this book. Alright? I don't know why. Maybe whatever Riley has hit, whatever revelation Riley has hit for this book, it's doing fine. Doing fine. No one looks too weird. No one's running like they're rejects from Adventure Time. Works out. So anyway, if you recall last issue, Wesley found out that his house was on fire, and he's gone through it. The fire department has assessed the damage. Like, looks like a robbery gone wrong, or like a robbery gone right. I'm not sure. So he goes up, I'll write a report, and you'll all be good to go. And so he uses time to go check out his secret room, the Bat Cave, or the Sand Cave, or the Sandbox, I guess. And he checks. It turns out, yeah, he's been flim-flammed. Someone took his research, his notes, his gas mask, gas guns, everything. Alright, so everything he uses to be the Sandman, which means that this robbery was not someone trying to get rich. Someone definitely knows who he is. So he's freaking out. Luckily, his lady friend Diane comes in like, look, I get it, you're stressed out. I'm not sure if Diane knows who he is, his other life, because he doesn't specify when he tells her what the problem is. Like, they took some personal stuff, and nothing in the text suggests that he's using sort of coded language. Like, there's no emphasis on the word personal items to intimate to her that it's his Sandman stuff. She's like, you just relax for a bit, and it can all come with later. I mean, man just found out his entire home burned down. Alright, it's a lot. But Wesley also is now having nightmares about all the stuff he's gone, about, what's going to go through with gas. So, Wesley heard a lot of stories from his father and grandfather during the war, and so it gave him a lot of nightmares, and a lot of those gases, he's written about them. He wants to understand, wants to know how to use them, how to identify them, and now someone's going through with that. So now those war stories are coming back, and now he knows someone with those same, with his knowledge is going out there with those gases, bringing all the trauma of mustard gas poisoning and everything else from World War One to the present day city. So it's a bit frightening, gives him nightmares, he starts panicking. He uses sleep gas because he's a staunch believer in never taking the life of another man. So he has to double down, he has to find this and put a stop to it. So with a little help from Diane, he gets into the DA's office, he goes through, and he finds a dude by the name of Klaus. Alright? And Klaus, more than likely, is the person we're looking for. So he goes through, and I do like this design of the Sandman. I do. As much as I like what this is doing to my voice, apparently. So as he fights through, he realizes these dudes are hopped up on something. Oh no, amphetamines! They're drugged up! They're drugged up! The Nazis used them to make their super soldiers! Amphetamines. Wow. Wasn't that hard to make a better super soldier. Okay, so anyway. Goes through, Wesley gives them all the business, is able to knock some of them down, and trying to figure out where Klaus is. And all he's able to find out is that Klaus has pretty much given up the business, and he's gone off somewhere else. As to exactly where, we don't know. But even as someone runs off and gets hit by a car, Wesley starts to realize that this is getting more and more dangerous by the day. As a new Sandman is going to be out there using his gas and his notes to create untold harm. Overall, these 3 issues were, I think, fine. Well, actually, Rumble with the Robert is perfect in my mind. We keep the focus on Jay and Judy. They have a great rapport. Judy wants to sort of be free, not as confined. Jay has trouble, which I think he never would have had the trouble before had he been able to just raise his daughter. But again, finding out she's been gone for decades and he forgot about her, he just can't let that go. I also love that all 3 of those, that entire family, Judy, Jay, and Joan. I love it. I love it. He's just not able to let that go. Stargirl got to be here. That was great. I think she's going to be a great sort of buffer for Judy and Joan. And I think it'd be interesting if we see Judy sort of be a bit jealous of Stargirl when she sees all the adventures that she got to have with Jay. Alright? Even though it's nothing she could have controlled, and even more so because of how much Jay would have loved for those adventures to be with Judy. But, whatever. This story here, I mean it. This does not need to be a Green Lantern story. He's really telling a story about a dude growing up in the 50s. Alright? Or growing up in the era where, conversion therapy was sort of the norm. Alright? I think we need to emphasize the superhero aspect of the story before, and that's been a complaint some people have launched about this. I don't have a problem with this particular story, but I think you need to add more of the stuff of Alan being a superhero instead of just him brooding. I think if we played around with the story with him going through his day-to-day as a superhero, I think that would have helped more. To see that, as Alan is going through being this inspiration, this really great symbol of hope to people, he's still dealing with his past issues he can't quite come to terms with. And again, this would be better suited if it was told in quote-unquote DC's present day as a memory or as a story he's telling Jade and Obsidian. I think that would work here. This story honestly surprises me. It is not bad. It is not particularly great, but then again, I'm not as endeared to Sandman as I am Green Lantern and the Flash, especially Alan and Jay. So there's that. But again, Ronnie Rosmo's art is better here than it's ever been. Alright, I guess Venditti just brings out the best in everyone. So there's that. I do particularly like Wesley. I like that Wesley is a sort of sensitive kid who's heard a lot of horror stories and is trying to make it so that doesn't happen. He seems like he's almost a bit neurotic, and I do like that. His girlfriend looks too good for him. Then again, that's most superheroes and their girlfriends. So we go from there. I'm looking forward to seeing where all these stories go. As frustrated as I am with Tim Sheridan's. But anyway, with that in mind, which brings to a close. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is the Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.